when we finish the set.
Right, we're now on live. Richard doesn't have a cup of tea yet, but we are starting at past. So welcome everybody.
Hello
to episode 17 of At Home with the Fishers, starring Nicola and Chris Fisher, RPT.
Oh, we've let some out of the bag there.
With BrainFizz, aka Richard Morley.
Oh, you see, when I tweeted it before, I put Richard Morley, aka BrainFizz.
Well, I put their social media handles up, you see.
Oh, right, okay.
Consistency and everything.
All right.
So, hello, Richard.
Hi, Nicola. Hi, Chris. Congrats as well, Chris. And Bamba, who's, I think, down the bottom there somewhere.
Yeah, he's just down keeping cool. So, it's great to have you with us. Let me just say hello to everybody who's on the chat and everybody who's watching but isn't on the chat. So we've got Dave the Wood Barber, T+G Making.
Hi, guys.
Wayne Bigfoot Woodcraft, Leona Faye. Let me see, Hippie Noodle.
Ooh.
AH Bespoke. Knotted Pumpkin. JP Woodwork.
Good evening, everyone. Well, JP's on. You're in for it.
He says, finally, a decent podcast. Richard shows up on time. T+G Making says, congratulations, Chris.
Thank you very much.
Well, we won't talk about that just now. We'll talk about it afterwards.
It's all about our very friendly giant. That is Richard Morley. Listen, if you don't know who Richard Morley is, where have you been? I mean, he's one of the repeat offenders on YouTube. He's been going some time now, a regular at the shows and exhibitions, Maker Central, one of the founding fathers of Makers International podcast with the rest of the outlaws. So huge honor, lovely guy. I love him to bits. Still can't believe how tall he is, and yeah, it's a great honour and a privilege to have you with us tonight, young man.
Well, thanks very much for having me on. I was a bit surprised that you'd want me on actually, because presumably you watch our podcast occasionally.
Well, you see, this is your time to shine. On that, you're sort of working, but when you're our guest, you can just chill a bit now and just chat.
It is kind of nice not to have to think about some sensible question, to be honest, because that's the pressure on our one.
Sensible answers tonight.
Yeah.
I
find it quite hard sometimes, especially since we've started doing the Maker Monday bit, and we need to engage with our guest. We've got loads of people chatting, and I find I miss most of the chat whilst we're doing it because I can't sort of keep tabs on what people are saying and talking to the guests. So it's sort of, I don't know, maybe there's a skill to that. Maybe there's something there you can share with us.
Well, what I do is pretty much ignore the chat and rely on Chris and Jamie. But potentially that's not something that Chris will be able to monitor as the live chat. It's reading and think and listening and then having to talk. It's like trying to, what's that thing they do when people breathe in through their nose and out through their mouth in one go? That's that kind of
hyperventilating.
No, not that. People can kind of continuously breathe, can't they? In through the nose and out through the mouth in like a cycle. And it's very difficult. And it's, practice.
Leona says you need an earworm.
It's like the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah. So, Richard, we always ask our guests the same questions and then we go off sort of at a tangent. So the first question to ask you is, why do you make?
I thought about this last night, and honestly, I do it because I like doing it. Why wouldn't you do it because you like doing it? I mean, I know people, I've been making all my life and all the rest of it. And my dad kind of, I guess, introduced me. I remember as being a tiny little kid, he'd build scale model steam engines for model railways and things like that. And that would be Sunday afternoon. So it was just kind of all I knew. I got Lego because he made things. He made sure I got things for making, keep me out of trouble. My uncle made model aeroplanes, then my brothers did. So obviously then I did, because that's all I knew. And it just sort of carried on from there. I guess you stick with what you know. If he'd have been into motorsports, maybe I'd be driving go-karts. I don't know. So.
Yeah.
Well, is that saying you live what you learn? So
yeah, I think that's probably the case. Yeah.
I think it's interesting that a lot of people say they got into whatever their passion is through a family member or a grandfather or something like that. And I don't know, it does cultivate your interest, doesn't it? I find my dad used to like gardening, and he was always a keen gardener, and he loved his photography as well. And, you know, those are two things.
He also had a degree in electrical engineering.
Yeah.
He was, you know, he was a consultant for British Nuclear Fuels, wasn't he?
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, a maker, but, you know, at a biblical scale. Now, Richard, you're a tradesman as well, aren't you?
Sort of, yes. I've got a horse and a wide-brimmed hat, and I kind of cruise the streets in a white van.
Yeah. So I mean, I mean, this is your life. Down. But
that's going back a bit.
It is going back a bit.
I guess it kind of is, yeah. And sometimes it is nice to not make things, just to come in and watch telly, binge watch some TV series. But more often than not, like the things that I'll do with my YouTube channel will be the hobby side of making things.
Yeah.
So if somebody asks me to make something for their house or put some new flooring down, it's probably not an enjoyable job. It's a job that puts money on the table. But to then go out and stand and, I don't know, turn a pen or make something simple and quick and gratifying that you can hold and keep.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's relaxing.
It's that creative thing, isn't it? And I think it's always slightly different when you're doing something for yourself or just to be creative, rather than doing something because you're being paid for it or there's some sort of you've got to do it. It's a completely different vibe, isn't it?
Yeah.
And also there's a lot less pressure to just go out into the shed and say, I'll turn something, I'll make something, whatever it is.
Yeah.
If it fails, there's no pressure. But if somebody's got you in and they want you to put a new floor in, and you burst a water pipe, or can you hang this door and you, I don't know, hit a cable that you weren't expecting, or something happens. There's a lot of pressure on that. And sometimes it's like, I'll think the night before, I'll have a plan to do the job, and then I'll be, what happens if, did I check that? What was that wall made of? Or where was the pipe going? Or were there any sockets? And all these little things, you start to kind of worry.
Yeah.
And well, I guess worry is not necessarily the right word, but you kind of second guess all the time, and that can add to a bit of pressure. But just going out in the shed, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
True.
I'll tell you what I'm finding quite interesting. Andy Berkey, who we had on a couple of podcasts ago, he does Instagram stories of the work that he's doing, like for his day job.
Yeah.
And I'm finding that really fascinating, because I'm always fascinated by things I don't know anything about. So I'm sure if you were showing bits of your day job and things that you were doing with that, people would actually find it quite fascinating, because it's either something that they can appreciate because they're into that kind of skill, or it's something very new and it's just fascinating because it's new.
Yeah, I mean, I don't post Instagram stories anywhere near as often as I probably should. I tend to go through little kind of phases. Where, back in February time, I was doing a load of sash window renovations in Cambridge, and I was doing 15 stories a day for the couple of weeks of how this big project was going. And then you finish the job, go on to a different job, which is not as enjoyable, maybe a little bit dull by comparison, and you just, I won't do a story for this, I'll just get on and do it, and then I can get home, and then that goes into a couple of weeks, and then before you realize it, you haven't put a story out for a fortnight, and then it kind of goes in fits and starts. So,
yeah.
But Andy's stories are fantastic with those big
ecclesiastical things that he's.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the actual. They look like the bits around a pulpit.
I'm not sure.
Absolutely, they're amazing. Anyway, stuff that
I keep telling him that the little gold bits at the top, they look like moose heads. Do you know the tiny bits that he's got?
Yeah.
But yeah, I find it just very interesting seeing people's, just what people do like that, So you've obviously been very involved in the maker community. We saw you at Maker Central, and you were doing up making all weekend with different people and sharing skills. What has the maker community given you?
Sleepless nights, a tiny bank account. If it wasn't amazing, I wouldn't do it. It's just as simple as that. The amount of people that I've met. Even yourselves. I remember last year at Maker Central. Obviously, I knew Chris. I knew who Chris was. We'd sort of spoken because you appeared in one of my videos a few years back.
Yeah, that's right.
And I knew of you, Nicola, but we'd never actually stopped and talked. And then when Chris turns around to me last Maker Central, the first Maker Central, and just he knew exactly who I was from the sound of my voice, which was kind of a bit humbling, I'll be honest. But then for him to turn around and go, "You're taller than you are in your videos," it really took me back.
Well, I was shocked. So obviously, I haven't got a clue what people look like or their build and stature. And then, we met at the first Makers Central, and I can hear this voice not just coming from a little bit above my head, but and then some. And I thought, holy crap, this guy's huge. And then I remember giving you a hug and went. And he, he's not like huge and sort of like an ogre. So it was like and I mean this in the real nicest way.
You can say beanpole, it's all right.
Yeah, it's like whoa, it's like a bloody beanstalk, a beanpole. But it's like, it was for me. It's like one of those. OMG, I didn't know it was that tall. And it's funny, obviously just the mind of the blind working, but. It was great to meet you for the first time 2 years. Well, last year,
yeah.
So I think that's got to be the most memorable thing that the maker community's given me is those kind of interactions. That meeting of you, Chris, and then the stopping and talking to you this year, Nicola.
Yeah.
On the Friday, I think that was the first time we properly met and spoken. The road trip that Kat and I did last year, which was kind of off the back of the first Maker Central, but the experiences of staying with other makers and making with other makers, that's the best thing that the community's given me. Those experiences and friendships.
It's just it is we say it. I mean, people are probably going to get bored of us saying the same thing, but it is about that community and those connections that you make, and
those memories will stay with you until your head falls off.
It's
those memories those memories that we all share will be with us forever. And you'll be sat there, and I know I'll be sat there thinking, oh yeah, I remember when Richard did that at Maker Central or whatever. And it's like flipping it, I remember Richard, oh yeah, how tall was that guy and things like that. Flipping it. But great memories. Great memories.
So what sort of things do you love to make?
I like to have a go at pretty much anything. I'll try anything once. From the woodworking side, my kind of playground sandbox is my little lathe. I do like turning pens because they're quick, they're satisfying, and you've got a usable thing. The one thing I really struggle with is making something that hasn't got a use. There's people out there, and I guess to some extent yourself included, Chris, to turn a goblet or a vase I can look at it and appreciate its beauty, but I have no impulse to make something like that myself because I don't have a use for a vase, you know. I'm not much of an artist, but if I turn a pen, well, that's a pen, and straight away I can see a link in my mind. But I like
a beautiful thing, though, in its own right, you know.
Absolutely, and that's something I'm probably since just before Maker Central this year is something that I'm really trying hard to force myself to overcome, is to kind of make useless things. And I don't mean useless things, but something which I would have considered irrelevant and useless then.
So you're talking more decorative and artistic.
Absolutely, for the sake of making it. I mean, like a mushroom, to turn a mushroom. Yeah. I turned a big mushroom fairly early on when I got my lathe. It went in the garden, and that's kind of, for me, tick a box. Not I've done that, move on.
Yeah.
But now do you know what? I'll go back and I'll make a load more, because it's not about having the mushroom. I can chuck it on. I'm sort of comfortable chucking it on the fire now, because it's about the practice and the technique and the mastering of it, rather than just the doing of it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, complete sense. Yeah.
So that's why I like to. That's where I like to kind of play. It's my sandbox.
I'm the complete opposite of you. All of my wood turning, well, not all of it, because I've just had a commission. 95%, maybe even stretching it to 97, 99% is, you know, creative, expressive. Obviously, I can't look at a sketch or a picture in a book to get any, you know, it's like put the piece of wood up. Oh, let's start turning. I have a rough idea, and then it's just what flows through, what pictures come in my mind. So to you, the complete opposite. Yet I've just received a commission this week to make something, and you know, I have to adhere to dimensions and parameters and be clinical and, you know, analytical about it, which is the complete opposite of most of what I do.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say analytical, because I mean, I when I left school, I went into aeronautical engineering. So rather than doing woodworking and carpentry, which a lot of people assume I did, I went the other way. So it was all sheet metal work, brazing, welding, riveting, panel beating, forming, all that kind of stuff. And it's all drawings. It's all, if you want to do this, you do this. Everything's procedural, and then it has to be signed off as having followed that procedure to the letter. So to go that route, and I think that's why I look at something and go, I can't see value for me personally turning a piece of wall art, unless I take that same piece of wall art that's going to be a clock, and I know it's going to be a clock at the start, you know. So I've got to have a purpose, some kind of thing. I just get the pieces. If you just give me a lathe and go, oh, it's do whatever, I'm like, that jelly. It's really bizarre.
Yeah.
But I find that quite interesting. It's about having stuff that has a use at the end of it. I think that's quite a nice way to do things. I mean, I like, if I'm making stuff, I like to do something that I've got, like you say with a pen, you've got something physical at the end. So I can understand it's sort of like that utilitarian approach.
Absolutely. It's got to have a purpose. Even if the purpose now, and I've turned a few things lately, I'm not just turned, I'm just looking out. There's a couple of things I've made in the last week. I made them with the knowledge that this is going to get burned, or this is going to go in the bin, or if it actually works, I'm going to give it to so-and-so. And that's the end bit, whatever happens to it. I can't just make for the sake of making. There's got to be some kind of end purpose or goal. Otherwise, just my... Yeah.
Well, even when you do make something utilitarian and you know, what you would deem as sort of like quite a practical thing, it can still be beautiful, can't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, 100%. But it's difficult for me because I think it limits me, and I think it has limited me, because let's say I thought, oh, I'll make a clock. And I'll be like, well, I don't need a clock, so I won't make a clock. So I'll make a pen. And I've got hundreds of pens. I don't need a pen. So you limit yourself because you don't then experience the, they say it's not the destination, it's the journey. That's saying for turning, and I think making in general, when you mess something up, you're going off script, but you're still experiencing, you're still learning. Whereas if I go, I don't need a clock, I won't make the clock, I don't do the journey, so I don't experience, there's no practice, and then I'm falling short myself.
Yeah, let's reference the amazing Victorian engineers that when they built a power station or a pumping engine, it was accurate to plus or minus half a thousand precision parts, but then it was embellished with ornate decorative flowers and cherubs, and it was amazingly engineered, highly functional, but beautiful to behold. So I think there is a place for doing something utilitarian, highly functional. It's doing a job, but holy Christ, he didn't have chuck some work at that. It's like flipping heck. Richard's made that door, but have you seen that door? It's sort of like the raised panel. If you did some carving or a bit of fancy routing on it, maybe just sort of starting to chuck a bit of that in some work.
Yeah. And I think that is why I really enjoy doing the old restoration work, like on the old sash windows, and that, because, like you just said, there's that absolute beauty. You get these beautiful linen fold panelled drawing rooms and libraries that need a bit of work. You're like, wow, because that's real pride in somebody's work to do that.
Yeah.
It needs to be these tight tolerances. It needs to be functional, but I'm making it, so it's going to be amazing just to look at.
Yeah,
absolutely fantastic.
So, is there anything that the maker community doesn't know about you?
Oh, there's loads. Whether they ever will find out. Something that people don't know about me. I think people do know, but I used to be a reservist in the army.
All right, yeah.
For quite a few years.
Yeah.
I used to do that. That was fun.
Awesome. So what regiment were you in?
I started off in the Royal Anglian Regiment.
Right here.
And then in 98, I think it was. And there was a defence review, and the battalion was disbanded, so I transferred over to the Royal Signals, where I was commissioned through Sandhurst in 2003, I think it was.
Right. Well, awesome.
Yes, and that's where I hung my boots up a few years later after I had my daughter.
Well, there you go, everybody. We have got in Richard Marley not only a very fine craftsman and a YouTuber, but a commissioned officer in the British Army.
Only half commissioned, and only a reservist commission.
Well, you still get your name in the papers when you get a commission.
Yes, and also for your promotions as well.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of
there you go
in the London Gazette.
There you go. Carry on, soldier. So any more of your lip and you're on a charge, mate. I tell you. Yeah.
So I've just asked if anybody's got any questions. JP says, why routers? Why not be normal?
Yeah. Because they are far more useful and they put food on the table than the scroll saw. Everyone, this is probably something that people don't know about me as well. Everyone, I think, assumed, or a lot of people assume, that I absolutely hate the scroll saw. I don't. I genuinely think that the scroll saw is a fantastic tool for, people getting into woodworking, kids, and people with not very much space or budget. Absolutely brilliant there, because there is lots of things you can do. For me personally, I don't like it. Some people don't like turning. Some people don't like using band saws. I don't like sanding, so I don't like using a scroll saw.
Well, it's each to their own, isn't it?
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
definitely each to their own.
Dave the Wood Barber says the maker community doesn't know when Richard will get his next haircut.
I deliberately now let it grow long. I used to have to get a haircut every 2 or 3 weeks without fail, whether it needed it or not. Same with the shave as well. So I don't shave very often because razors are expensive, and I don't get my hair cut very often because, well, A, I don't have to, and B, they're expensive as well. So
So I'm just having a look who else has joined us. Baz is on.
Hi, Baz.
Robert Reese, he says, what exactly makes a person a maker? I've been told that because I made my living doing finishing carpentry, that every design I make is not making me a maker. So what is a maker? That's a good question. What do you think, Richard?
Personally, I think the maker label is just a word. I personally, I don't really particularly like it. I think if you're someone that just likes making something, then just go out and make something. Whether you, Chris to me is a turner, yeah. Jamie's a scroll sawer. A maker's just, I don't know. It's like a cuddly sort of fluffy label that makes everyone feel part of something. But it's more a mentality, I think, than an actual physical thing. So if you like making things, then I guess you're a maker. It doesn't matter what it is. You've got that kind of mentality that you understand.
Totally agree. Yeah. If you like making something, no matter what it is, you're a maker.
Yeah, Dave the Wood Barber says a maker is basically a person that makes it happen. I like that. Yeah. Jen's woodworking and things. I'd say maker is anyone who makes stuff because they love to.
Yeah.
So let's see what else we've got. Got Wayne the Woodturner. Hi, Wayne. Flaming Turner.
Hi, guys.
Scott. I'm just checking to see if there's any other questions. Can't immediately see anything. If I've missed anything, just you've added it on to the end. Anybody else buffering? We're all right. So hopefully. So have you got anything else you'd like to ask Richard? Anything else you'd like to share with us, Richard, about you as a maker?
I don't think so. I mean, if people want to know more about me, then probably the best place to find it is either on the Instagrams or on my YouTube channel. So, head on over there. People get in touch and ask questions.
Is there any discipline that you haven't, as of yet, had a chance to do and you would really love to get your hands on it?
Yeah, there is. And I want to do glass blowing. Right. Kat did some fused glass sessions, like taster days, and we went to various shows and fairs and kind of crafty things, and we keep finding places to do glass blowing, and that's something I really want to do because it is, to me, like witchcraft.
Yeah, it's right. It's right up there, with stonemasonry, turning, forging, and glass blowing. They are these millennia old, in whatever form, mysterious crafts. And like you say, witchcraft. What a great way to put it. I couldn't actually do it, and now I'm going to sort of give something away here. If you say, tell something about yourself that people don't really know. I've got a tumor in my left parotid saliva gland. Now it's benign, but if I blow up a balloon or chew a tough piece of meat, the left side of my face goes numb because of the back pressure going through my saliva duct. Hurts this tumor. So I could never do glass blowing because my face would be in agony. So there you go, folks. I've got a benign tumor of the left parotid gland.
And I think that sums up a maker. When we were talking about something that you want to do, when you look at something that somebody else does, creating things, most people will go, "Oh, that's really cool. You've made something absolutely amazing." But I think somebody who's got that mentality, that kind of maker mindset, I want to. No. Let me have a go. Get out of the way. I want to have a go at that. Show me how you do it, and I want to try it. That's I think where when
Yeah.
that label fits.
I hope that your wish comes true very soon and you get to do some glass blowing. And then before you know it, you're going to have all the equipment in an extension. Imagine. Oh.
Baz says he loved the restoration work on windows you did in your stories.
Yeah, those are the things. Those are the jobs that I really like doing. They're fun.
And JP says, how did Richard get his Seaside Rick nickname?
I've absolutely no idea. It's one of those mysteries of the world. It just sort of started, and then Jamie kept it going.
As he would.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
It's like cacao.
Yeah, cacao.
Yeah.
Hey, Jamie, get Seaside Rick tattooed on your leg with a couple of love hearts around it.
Yeah. Leona's going to see some glass blowing at Waterford Crystal over the Irish Maker Meetup weekend.
Whoa.
Yeah, cool. Jamie says cacao. Well, it's been fabulous having you with us, and do stay with us as we chat about our week and interject any way you'd like to about anything that we're talking about.
Yeah.
But thank you very much for being on our Maker Monday segment today.
Well, thanks for inviting me. It was lovely. Great being on.
No, well, we love talking to you and hanging out with you. Although it's maybe only once every year. It's twice now. We've met him at Makers and had him on the podcast. So we're in credit with BrainFizz. So if I wasn't so busy demonstrating and all the other stuff that's going on, I'd love to spend a lot more time with all of you. But it has been a huge pleasure having you on. We regard you very highly, my friend. And
thanks very much.
Please. Go and get your cup of tea now.
Yes.
Have a cup of tea.
Go and get your cup of tea. Come back and then jump in whenever you want to.
Lovely job. Well, like I said, thanks for having me, guys. I'll nip and have a cup of tea. I'll blank the camera and then I'll pop back in a few minutes. All right.
All right. Okay.
Cool.
Thanks, Richard.
Cheers. Thanks very much.